it was confirmed just, I think, a couple days ago or yesterday. I think I posted on Twitter, that Microsoft said in their court documents that they're expecting Nintendo to release Switch 2 next year. So just like what we're thinking, Switch 2 more than likely would be coming out next year, and all the signs like we've been talking about on this channel for the past 6 months or so all seem to point to that, right? Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom released, sold great, and that looks to be their last ginormous quadruple A game on the Switch. Super Mario RPG Remake and Super Mario Wonder, they're going to be big sellers, no doubt, but those are not like, that's not like the big mainline Mario. The next mainline 3D Mario will more than likely be on Switch 2, and which is likely coming out next year. Hey, if Microsoft is testifying in court with their own court documents due to them winning basically the purchase of Activision Blizzard after that whole fiasco with the FTC, they had to basically talk about their plans for the future with Call of Duty, and that includes the Nintendo Switch 2. So Switch 2 seems like it's coming out next year, according to Microsoft's own court documents, according to the leaks we've seen, according to there's also parts and suppliers talking about Switch 2 coming out next year as well. So everything points to next year, and so I wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo announces it later this year for release, either early next year or announces it early next year for a release the same year, right? So either way, I think we're only months away from the reveal of Switch 2, and then we're going to be gung-ho about that, of course, because that's what we'd all been waiting for years now. Switch 2. I think Nintendo has gotten everything they can out of the current Switch. I don't think there's anything left for them to accomplish on this console, on the Switch OG. I think they're done. There's nothing else they can do with it, guys. So it's time to move on to a Switch 2. Switch 2 is what everyone wants at this point, because we want to see what's next for Nintendo. We want to see what's next for Mario, what's next for Zelda, what's next for Metroid. We want to see Metroid Prime 4. I do think they're holding out quite a bit for Metroid Prime 4 with this next gen Switch. We want to see what third-party games can run good on it, like for Call of Duty, for example. Also remember too, Crysis 4 was announced by Crytek. That's more than likely going to be for Switch 2 as well. They have the entire Crysis trilogy on the current Switch. So there's lots of excitement for a Switch 2 right now, for sure. So and it's gonna sell like hotcakes. I talked about this a little bit on the podcast last Monday on Andre's Restart channel. I think some of you guys were there, right? But there's a weird misconception out there with Nintendo fans that Nintendo has to have no games coming and the Switch has to be dead before they can release a new console. And anyone who thinks that is just very short-sighted, and really just because Nintendo did that with the Wii U it doesn't mean they should do that with the Switch. And the Wii U was already a dead console like a couple years into its lifespan, and they already admitted too that was a big mistake. They did that with the Wii to the Wii U, because they announced the Wii U like a year and a half before they released it, and then the Wii basically died after that. And they left it with no games pretty much. They had Skyward Sword come out, and then they had an entire year of nothing. They had like a Kirby, they had that Kirby game come out on it, and pretty much all third party left at that point. And that was a disaster. And the Wii U was a complete flop. So think about what PlayStation did with the PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5. They announced PS5 in 2019. Did that affect PS4 sales? No, not really, because the PlayStation 4 was still very much affordable, and it had a lot of great games coming out for it still. So guess what games came out on PlayStation 4 the same year that PlayStation 5 was released? I believe it was June or July of 2020. The Last of Us Part 2 came out on the PS4, and then I think it was September, October, the Ghost of Tsushima came out on PlayStation 4, and then in November they released the PlayStation 5. So did that affect anything with the PlayStation 5? Not at all. PlayStation 5, even though it had a hard time getting started due to the parts supply issue that it had. It is on track now to outsell. I think it's right on par PS4 sales, or on track to outsell it at this point in its same lifespan. So the way to keep your brand in the eyes of consumers is to keep releasing games, keep it in the minds of consumers, and then you say, hey, did you like the Switch? Did you like all those games on the Switch? Well, guess what? Here's Switch 2, and here's a whole new generation of games. Plus, we're gonna have backwards compatibility with the current Switch, right? So all your games will transfer over, no problem. So guess what? If you just purchased Mario Wonder and Mario RPG, and we just announced Switch 2, don't worry, those games will transfer over to the new console. It's like there's no downside to announcing a Switch 2 this year for release in early 2024, regardless of what Mario Wonder is going to sell either way. It's going to sell on both the Switch and the Switch 2. It's all positive things, guys. You got to fight that mindset that people put out there. Oh, Nintendo would never announce the Switch 2 because they have games coming this year. Like, seriously? If they don't have games coming, they don't operate as a business. So yeah, they have games coming, but that doesn't mean they can't announce new hardware. And they said they're going to have a hard time reaching that goal for 15 million. Doesn't matter, guys. They announced the Switch 2. They're still going to be able to hit those numbers because guess what? A Switch 2 is going to pick up the slack of any lost sales from the Switch OG, right? There's absolutely no downside whatsoever to announcing the Switch 2. Hope that makes sense.